Discussion on verses 1 to 50 of 50. The opening verses of this chapter have been explained in different ways. Many scholars understand them as referring to the winds, forces that Allah, the Exalted, employs for numerous purposes. Through them, seeds are scattered for pollination, clouds are carried across vast distances, and rain is distributed across the earth with precision and balance. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 1 to 4.
By those sent forth in gusts, then those who blow, blowing violently, and by the winds that spread, then those who separate, separately, distinctly.
Similarly, the following verses are often understood to refer to the angels, who, by the command of Allah, the Exalted, carry out various duties within creation, including delivering divine guidance through the holy prophets, peace be upon them. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 5 to 6.
Then those who cast a reminder, as justification or warning.
Regardless of the specific interpretation, the central message of these verses is clear. They direct attention to the precise and perfectly coordinated systems operating throughout the natural world. Every movement of the wind, every formation of clouds, every drop of rain, and every cycle within creation unfolds with exact balance and purpose. Such harmony cannot be the result of randomness. Rather, it clearly indicates the oneness of Allah, the Exalted, the sole creator, sustainer, and controller of all existence. However, within this world of perfect natural order, the behavior of human beings stands out as an exception. While the rest of creation follows the laws set by Allah, the Exalted, human beings often act in ways that disrupt moral balance. Oppression occurs, injustice spreads, and many wrongdoers appear to escape consequences, while those who strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, may face hardship and trials. This apparent imbalance highlights a crucial reality. Just as physical balance exists in the universe, moral balance must also be established. Yet, this balance is not fully realized in this world. Therefore, it must be completed in another stage of existence, on the Day of Judgment, where every action will be accounted for with absolute justice. The wisdom of Allah, the Exalted, dictates that full reward and punishment are not given in this life. Instead, people are granted time and opportunity to repent, reform, and return to Him. Likewise, the righteous are not given complete reward here, as this world is not meant to be a place of ultimate recompense. This also preserves the essence of faith, which includes belief in unseen realities. If reward and punishment were immediate and fully visible, the depth and sincerity of faith would be diminished. In this way, fear of accountability and hope for reward work together to guide a person's conduct. Fear restrains them from wrongdoing, while hope motivates them toward righteous actions. Together, they maintain balance and direction in a person's life. Finally, for the day of recompense to occur, this worldly life must come to an end. Judgment can only take place once all actions have ceased. As long as people continue to act, the final accounting remains deferred. This confirms that the material world is temporary and will inevitably conclude, making way for the final stage where perfect justice will be established. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed, and none will be wronged.
And chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 7.
Indeed, what you are promised is to occur.
Reflecting upon these realities deepens a person's certainty in the Day of Judgment. This strengthened conviction then motivates them to prepare for it by utilizing the blessings they have been granted in accordance with the commands of Allah, the Exalted, and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through such preparation, an individual attains inner tranquility, achieves balance in both mental and physical states, and gains the ability to assign every matter and relationship its proper place. A life lived in this manner leads to success in this world, and salvation in the hereafter. Allah, the Exalted, powerfully emphasizes the importance of preparing for one's accountability, by drawing attention to the collapse of the most immense and seemingly indestructible elements of creation. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 8 to 14.
So when the stars are obliterated, and when the heaven is opened, and when the mountains are blown away, and when the messenger's time has come to testify, For what day was it postponed? For the day of judgment. And what can make you know what is the day of judgment?
When a person reflects on this, a powerful realization emerges. If such immense creations cannot endure, then the human being, who is far weaker and more vulnerable, has no chance of escape from that day. This imagery is meant to shake a person out of heedlessness and make them recognize the seriousness of what lies ahead. The mention of the holy prophets, peace be upon them, being brought forward to testify, further intensifies this reality. It highlights that not only will individuals be held accountable, but the very messages they received will stand as evidence for or against them. Nothing will be overlooked, and no excuse will remain hidden. Altogether, these verses serve as a profound warning. They shift attention away from the false sense of security people place in the stability of the world, and direct it toward the inevitable reality of its end. By witnessing the collapse of everything they once considered firm and lasting, a person is forced to confront their own fragility and their need to prepare for the moment when they will stand before Allah, the Exalted, for judgment. However, as practically preparing for one's accountability by correctly using the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted, often conflicts with people's worldly desires and ambitions, many choose to ignore or neglect this preparation, even if they claim to believe in it. As a consequence, they fall into imbalance, both mentally and physically, and fail to correctly prioritize the different aspects of their lives. This misplacement affects everything around them, their relationships, responsibilities, and goals, turning what should be sources of benefit into causes of stress, anxiety, and difficulty, despite any outward comforts or luxuries they may possess. Furthermore, by neglecting to prepare for their accountability on Judgment Day, they not only experience hardship in this life, but also expose themselves to far greater consequences in the hereafter. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 15.
Woe that day to the deniers.
Allah, the Exalted, then invites people to reflect on those who came before them, and by extension, those around them, so that they may recognize the consequences of persisting in disobedience. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 16 to 19.
Did we not destroy the former peoples? Then we will follow them with the later ones. Thus do we deal with the criminals. Woe that day to the deniers.
These verses serve as a powerful warning against adopting a self-absorbed way of life, where a person becomes so focused on their own circumstances that they ignore the wider realities around them. Such a narrow perspective prevents a person from benefiting from the lessons found in history, in the lives of others, and even within their own personal experiences. True reflection allows a person to recognize patterns, understand consequences, and avoid repeating the same mistakes. It refines one's character and helps establish balance in both mental and physical states, while also enabling a person to correctly prioritize everything and everyone within their life. For example, observing those who possess wealth and status yet misuse the blessings granted to them often reveals a hidden reality. Despite their outward comfort, many are overtaken by anxiety, dissatisfaction, addiction, or even despair. This demonstrates that true peace of mind cannot be obtained through wealth alone, or through the unchecked pursuit of desires. Likewise, witnessing someone endure illness should awaken gratitude for one's own health, and encourage its proper use before it is lost. In the same way, seeing the downfall of those who persist in wrongdoing should act as a warning, reminding a person of the consequences of neglecting divine guidance. For this reason, divine teachings consistently encourage people to reflect deeply, to look beyond their immediate situation, and to extract wisdom from everything around them. Through such reflection, a person becomes more aware, more balanced, and better prepared for their ultimate accountability. Allah, the Exalted, then invites people to reflect on their own creation. Anyone who observes the human body with an open and unbiased mind will recognize that its precise composition, the intricate balance of organs, bones, senses, and interconnected systems, cannot be the result of chance. Such complexity clearly points to intention, knowledge, and power. If even a simple object cannot come into existence without a designer and a caretaker, then it is far more unreasonable to assume that the human being, possessing highly sophisticated physical, mental, and emotional systems, came into existence and continues to function without a creator and sustainer. The human body depends on countless processes, working together in perfect balance. Even a slight disturbance can lead to illness or death, which further highlights the need for constant control and maintenance by Allah, the Exalted. Reflecting on this reality should naturally lead a person to gratitude. This gratitude is not merely expressed in words, but through obedience, by using the blessings granted to them in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. At the same time, the one who created the human being in such a precise manner is fully capable of bringing them back to life after death. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 20 to 23.
Did we not create you from a liquid disdained? And we placed it in a firm lodging, for a known extent. And we determined it, and excellent are we to determine.
However, showing true gratitude by living in obedience often conflicts with worldly desires and ambitions. As a result, many persist in ingratitude by misusing the blessings they have been given. This leads to imbalance in their mental and physical state, and causes them to misplace everything and everyone within their life. What should have been sources of benefit instead become causes of stress, difficulty, and dissatisfaction, even if they outwardly enjoy comfort and luxury. Moreover, by neglecting to prepare for their accountability on Judgment Day, they expose themselves to far greater consequences in the hereafter. For this reason, the warning is repeated with emphasis. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 24.
Woe that day to the deniers.
Allah, the Exalted, then directs attention to another clear sign within creation, the earth itself, which serves as a dwelling for both the living and the dead. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 25 to 26.
Have we not made the earth a container of the living and the dead?
This verse highlights a profound reality that people witness constantly yet often overlook. The earth accommodates the living, providing space, sustenance, and stability, while also receiving the dead, returning them to its soil. Generation after generation, people live upon it, and then are placed within it, making it a silent witness to the entire cycle of human existence. This continuous pattern of life and death is a powerful indication of the complete control of Allah, the Exalted, over creation. A person has no choice in their origin, no control over the moment they enter this world, and no authority over the time or manner of their death. These realities clearly demonstrate human dependence and limitation. Reflecting on this cycle should awaken a sense of humility and awareness. Just as countless people have lived and passed on before, every person will follow the same path. This repetition is not without purpose. Rather, it serves as a constant reminder that life is temporary and that a return to Allah, the Exalted, is inevitable. Recognizing this truth encourages a person to prepare for what comes after death, instead of becoming overly attached to a world that they will inevitably leave behind. In addition, the land on earth has been created in a perfectly balanced manner, allowing people to both cultivate it and build upon it. Different regions of the earth have varying altitudes, and this variation serves important purposes. Areas at very high altitudes are often difficult to live in due to thinner air and harsher conditions, while the vast majority of the land exists at a level that is suitable and beneficial for human habitation. This demonstrates a careful design that supports human life. Furthermore, certain parts of the earth are naturally difficult to access due to their terrain, which limits overuse and preserves those areas. At the same time, most regions remain accessible enough for people to travel, settle, and make use of available resources. In this way, the earth has been arranged in a balanced manner, neither completely restricted nor completely open, so that human life can function in a stable and sustainable way. It is also clear that the resources necessary for survival are generally easier to access than those that are less essential. This prioritization reflects a deliberate and purposeful design. The earth provides what is needed in a way that aligns with human needs, further indicating intention, knowledge, and wisdom behind its creation. These features, when observed together, point towards the existence of a creator. They show that the earth is not the result of random processes, but rather a carefully designed system meant to support life in a balanced and structured way. Similarly, the water cycle provides another clear sign. Water from large bodies, such as seas, evaporates, rises into the atmosphere, forms clouds, and then returns to the earth as rain. This rain nourishes the land, replenishes rivers and streams, and supports both plant and animal life. The presence of natural formations, such as mountains, plays an important role in guiding, storing, and distributing this water. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 27.
And we place therein lofty, firmly set mountains, and have given you to drink sweet water.
This verse highlights how mountains and freshwater systems are part of a balanced and purposeful design. Fresh water is essential for life on land, while salt water serves a different but equally important function in the oceans. Both systems operate without interfering with one another, maintaining a clear separation that ensures stability and continuity of life. If this balance were disrupted, the consequences would be severe. The mixing or imbalance of these systems would harm both land and sea life. The fact that such a delicate system exists and functions continuously is a strong indication of precise control and wisdom. All of these signs, the structure of the earth, the distribution of resources, the variation in landscapes, and the balance of the water cycle, point clearly to the oneness of Allah, the Exalted. They demonstrate that creation is governed by a single, all-knowing, and all-powerful Creator who has established order and balance in everything. These signs also serve as a reminder that just as the natural world operates under divine laws, human beings should also live in accordance with divine guidance. This reflection encourages gratitude, humility, and obedience, leading to a life that is balanced and purposeful. But as this approach often goes against people's worldly desires, many choose to persist in disobedience to Allah, the Exalted. In this life, such a mindset prevents them from achieving balance in their mental and physical state, and leads them to misplace priorities in their lives. As a result, aspects of life such as family, friendships, career, and wealth may become sources of stress rather than sources of stability. If a person continues in this state of disobedience, they may begin to misidentify the causes of their distress, blaming those around them, such as a spouse or close companions, rather than recognizing the root cause within themselves. When healthy and supportive relationships are broken in this way, it often leads to further emotional and psychological instability, increasing feelings of isolation and distress. Over time, this can develop into more severe conditions such as depression, harmful addictions, or even thoughts of self-harm. This pattern can be observed in many individuals who misuse the blessings they have been given, including those who appear wealthy or successful. Despite outward comfort and luxury, they may still experience deep inner emptiness and dissatisfaction. This clearly shows that material success alone does not guarantee peace of mind. Moreover, by failing to prepare for their accountability on Judgment Day, such individuals place themselves in a position of far greater loss in the hereafter. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 28 to 34.
Woe that day to the deniers! They will be told, proceed to that which you used to deny. Proceed to a shadow of smoke having 3 columns, but having no cool shade and availing not against the flame. Indeed it throws sparks as huge as a fortress, as if they were yellowish black camels. Woe that day to the deniers!
One of the main reasons why matters of the hereafter, such as the Day of Judgment and the consequences that follow, are described in such vivid detail in divine teachings, is to remove false beliefs that were adopted by earlier nations. Many of them belittled these realities, and some even mocked them, due to a mindset rooted in wishful thinking. They continued in disobedience, while assuming they would still attain safety and success in both this life and the next. These false assumptions took many forms, relying on the status of a righteous individual without making personal reform, believing that a mere verbal claim of belief was sufficient for success, assuming that excuses or repentance would automatically be accepted regardless of one's actions, and thinking that the consequences in the hereafter would be no more severe than consequences experienced in this life. Such beliefs led to carelessness and a lack of accountability. In response, divine teachings present clear and detailed descriptions of the hereafter, so that people may fully understand its seriousness and prepare accordingly. The purpose of these descriptions is not to cause despair, but to awaken awareness, correct misconceptions, and encourage sincere action. This understanding should lead a person to practical obedience to Allah, the Exalted, by using the blessings they have been granted in ways that are pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through reflection and application, a person becomes more aware of their responsibilities and more mindful of their actions. By adopting this approach, a person is protected from complacency and false hopes. Instead of relying on assumptions, they build their life upon sincerity, accountability, and conscious effort. This leads to greater clarity in decision-making and helps them correctly place everything and everyone within their life, creating balance in both their mental and physical state. Ultimately, this path leads to success in both this world and the hereafter. As the accountability on the Day of Judgment will be perfect and absolute, a person will not be able to talk their way out of the consequences of their actions, even if they were accustomed to doing so in this world. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 35.
This is a day they will not speak.
In addition, the evidence against or for a person will be undeniable, as even their own body will testify. Chapter 24 An-Nur, verse 24.
On a day when their tongues, their hands and their feet will bear witness against them as to what they used to do.
Furthermore, unlike in this world, there will be no opportunity to offer excuses, seek another chance, or compensate for past actions. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 36.
Nor will it be permitted for them to make an excuse.
This removes any false assumption that one can delay obedience and later make up for it at a convenient time. The reality is that the time for action and repentance is in this life alone. These verses also address a common form of wishful thinking, where some believe that accountability will be flexible or that simple claims of belief will be sufficient, regardless of actions. Such assumptions are corrected by the clear message that excuses will not be accepted and opportunities will not be granted after death. If a person fails to seek reconciliation with Allah, the Exalted, through sincere obedience in this life, they will not be able to achieve it on the Day of Judgment. That day is not a place for negotiation or delay, but a day of complete and final justice. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 37.
Woe that day to the deniers.
This serves as a final and powerful reminder that denial, neglect, and delay have serious consequences. Therefore, a person must prepare for that day now, while the opportunity to act and make meaningful change still exists. One of the objections raised by those who deny the Day of Judgment is the idea that it is difficult to believe that Allah, the Exalted, will gather the scattered remains of human beings after death. They may point to situations where bodies have turned to dust, been buried for long periods, or even dispersed in places such as oceans after cremation. From their limited perspective, they assume that reassembling such remains is impossible. However, this objection overlooks a fundamental truth. Allah, the Exalted, is all-knowing and all-powerful. Nothing escapes His knowledge, not even a single particle. He is fully aware of where every part of a human being exists at any moment. The same Creator who brought a person into existence from nothing in the first place is fully capable of bringing them back to life again, no matter how dispersed their remains may seem. A simple example can help clarify this idea. In everyday life, people gather ingredients from different parts of the world, grains, spices, fruits, and other materials, to create food, or they assemble various components to manufacture complex products. These items are then brought together in a single place, and combined into something complete and functional. If human beings, with limited knowledge and ability, can gather and assemble scattered materials for such purposes, then it is far more reasonable to accept that Allah, the Exalted, who possesses perfect knowledge and unlimited power, can gather and restore every part of a human being. Unlike human efforts, the process of resurrection will involve no error, confusion, or limitation. Allah, the Exalted, knows every detail of every individual, including their unique characteristics. Nothing is lost, forgotten, or beyond His reach. Just as He created each person with precision the first time, He will recreate them with the same perfection when the time comes. This reflection demonstrates that denying resurrection is not based on sound reasoning, but rather on an underestimation of divine power. When a person truly considers the nature of creation and the capabilities of Allah, the Exalted, it becomes clear that bringing the dead back to life is not only possible, but entirely consistent with his complete control over all things. Chapter 75 Al-Qiyamah, verses 3-4.
Does man think that we will not assemble his bones? Yes. We are able even to proportion his fingertips.
And chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 38.
This is the day of judgment, we gathered you and the former peoples.
A person should not be deceived into thinking that the methods used to avoid accountability in this world, such as bribery or manipulation, will have any effect on the day of judgment. What may appear to work in a limited, imperfect worldly system will have no value when faced with the absolute justice of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 39.
So if you have a plan, then plan against me.
This statement serves as a powerful reminder of the futility of relying on human schemes when compared to divine authority. No plan, influence, or means can override the knowledge and power of Allah, the Exalted. Every action will be exposed, and every attempt to evade responsibility will fail. When a person begins to believe that they can escape consequences, it encourages a dangerous mindset. It may lead them to misuse the blessings they have been given, acting without accountability and continuing in wrongdoing with a false sense of security. This can result in a growing detachment from responsibility, weakening both character and awareness of consequences. Such thinking is ultimately harmful because it distances a person from reflection and correction. Instead of preparing for accountability, they become more attached to temporary advantages and deceptive strategies that have no lasting value. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 40.
Woe that day to the deniers.
Those who understand this truth will therefore ensure they correctly use the blessings they have been granted as outlined in Islamic teachings, knowing they cannot escape the control and authority of Allah, the Exalted. This will ensure they obtain a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly place everything and everyone within their life, while adequately preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. This behavior will therefore lead to peace of mind in both worlds. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 41-44.
Indeed, the righteous will be among shades and springs, and fruits from whatever they desire, being told, eat and drink in satisfaction for what you used to do. Indeed, we thus reward the doers of good.
These verses, like many others, make it clear that a mere verbal declaration of belief is not sufficient for success. A declaration must be supported by consistent actions, because words without actions hold little value. In this world, a person may be regarded under the law as a believer based on their outward declaration. However, in the hereafter, each individual will be judged by Allah, the Exalted, according to their inner reality, which is known only to Him. This means that outward statements alone do not guarantee true belief, especially if they are not reflected in a person's conduct. Therefore, a person who claims belief in Allah, the Exalted, and in accountability in the hereafter, but fails to act accordingly, risks having no true belief within their heart. In the final outcome, such a person will be judged based on what is truly within them, not merely what was said outwardly. In addition, failing to align actions with belief places a person in serious danger of losing that belief before their death. Faith can be compared to something that requires continuous care and attention. If it is neglected, it weakens over time and may eventually disappear altogether. Just as a flame must be protected and sustained to remain alight, belief must be maintained through consistent obedience and righteous action. Neglecting this responsibility can lead to a gradual loss of spiritual awareness, leaving a person distant from truth and unprepared for accountability. This is one of the most serious losses a person can experience. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 45.
Woe that day to the deniers.
In contrast to the tranquility and clarity that come from living in accordance with the guidance of Allah, the Exalted, those who continue to misuse the blessings they have been given and persist in disobedience will inevitably experience imbalance in their lives. Their thoughts, priorities, and relationships become disordered, leading to confusion in how they manage their time, responsibilities, and connections with others. As a result, they fail to properly prepare for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. This neglect brings consequences that affect both this life and the next. Even if they enjoy moments of comfort or temporary luxury, these do not provide lasting peace. Instead, such comforts often fail to satisfy, leaving a deeper sense of restlessness and dissatisfaction. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verses 46 to 49.
Eat and enjoy yourselves a little, indeed you are criminals. Woe that day to the deniers. And when it is said to them, bow in submission, they do not bow. Woe that day to the deniers.
These verses highlight a key reality. Temporary enjoyment does not justify neglect of responsibility. A person may be given opportunities to reflect, change, and return to what is right, yet some may continue to refuse guidance and persist in the same patterns. Refusing to submit, even when clearly advised, reflects a state of inner resistance that leads to greater loss. Such a path results in regret, not only in the hereafter, but also in the form of instability and hardship within this life. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 50.
Then in what statement after it, the Quran, will they believe?
Regardless of how advanced a society becomes, and no matter how much knowledge it acquires about human psychology, biology, and behavior, it remains impossible for human beings to create a code of conduct that perfectly aligns with human nature in every situation. Life presents an endless variety of circumstances, and human understanding is always limited, constantly evolving as new discoveries are made. Even with ongoing research into areas such as brain function and emotional processes, a complete and flawless system that guarantees balance, justice, and peace at both individual and societal levels cannot be achieved by human effort alone. Only Allah, the Exalted, possesses the perfect knowledge required for such a system. As the creator of all things, his knowledge encompasses everything, past, present, and future. Therefore, he alone is in the position to provide a comprehensive way of life that distinguishes clearly between what is beneficial and what is harmful, what is just and what is unjust, and what leads to peace of mind and what leads to distress. History repeatedly shows that when people and societies align their lives with this divine guidance, it leads to greater balance, justice, and stability. This demonstrates that the guidance given by Allah, the Exalted, is not only spiritually significant, but also practically beneficial for human well-being. For this reason, a person should approach this guidance with sincerity and an open mind, understanding that it is intended for their own benefit, even if certain aspects may conflict with personal desires. A helpful comparison can be made with a patient who follows a doctor's advice. Although the patient may not fully understand the reasoning behind the treatment, they trust that the prescribed medicine and restrictions are for their own good. In a similar way, a person is encouraged to reflect on the teachings of Islam, to recognize their wisdom and to apply them in their life. Allah, the Exalted, does not require blind acceptance. Instead, people are encouraged to reflect, think, and recognize the truth through clear signs and reasoning. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
At the same time, it must be understood that Allah, the Exalted, alone has control over the inner state of a person, including their sense of peace and emotional stability. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
This highlights that emotional states are ultimately under divine control, and true peace of mind is granted by Him. However, this peace is closely connected to how a person responds to guidance. Those who use the blessings they are given in the correct way, in accordance with divine guidance, are the ones who will attain lasting balance, inner peace, and success in both this life and the hereafter. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.